Good evening, and welcome to the meeting for the Merrimack School Board for SAU 26 for May 15th, 2023. Can I ask you all to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just as a quick note, board member Rothaus has been excused from the meeting tonight, as well as Chief Educational Officer Mr. Olson. We are going to begin tonight's meeting with public participation. If you choose to come up and speak, please be sure to state your name and your address. And if you are a student, there is no need to state your address, just your name. So the microphone is open for those that wish to speak. Seeing none, we will move on to something that we love to do, which is to recognize the achievements of our students. And we have several tonight that we will be doing. And the first group of recognitions we will be recognizing are our students who just completed the Granite State Challenge and came out on top in first place. So what I think we're going to do is I'm going to read their names and then come out front and then recognize them. Does that sound? I like that even better. Yeah, let's do that. So Granite State Challenge students, if you wouldn't mind coming up right in this area.
Yep. Oh, I can hand them to him. All right. Yes, I was going to say, Mr. Martin, get somewhere where I can hand these to you. Okay, first up, Jack Pecora. Rainier Murray. Eris Corman O'Reilly. Ali Pecora. Keyshawn Srinivasan. Liam Clark. Trey Grant. Sally Agel. Oh, and a recognition certificate for the, what do you call it? Director? Coach? Oh, coach. Dr. Sarah Campbell. I should have left.
Yes, it would. From what I understand, we have a bit of a dynasty going on for Granite State Challenge, right? This is 3 out of 4 years. Wow, congratulations, number one. I watched that show when I was in elementary school. I can't believe it's still on, but I love that you guys are doing so well with that. So thank you very much. All right, next we have something very near and dear to my heart, recognizing some of our all-state musicians. And there's a, yeah, oh cool. Yes, I love it.
Okay. New Hampshire Music Educators All State Festivals honorees are Akira McDowell, on the flute. Now, let me say all the things. New Hampshire Classical All-State High Score for Flute, New Hampshire Classical All-State Orchestra, New Hampshire Music Educators Association Classical All-State 4-Year Award, and National Association for Music Education All-Eastern Band. Wow. All right. Eris Corman O'Reilly on the flute, New Hampshire Classical All-State Band. Aubrey Connolly on the clarinet, New Hampshire Classical All-State Orchestra, New Hampshire Music Educators Association Classical All-State 4-Year Award, National Association for Music Education All-Eastern Band. Dave Sharma, alto saxophone, New Hampshire Classical All-State High Score for alto saxophone, New Hampshire Classical All-State High Score for baritone saxophone, and New Hampshire Classical All-State Band. Hikari McDowell, alto saxophone, New Hampshire Jazz All-State Jazz Band, alto saxophone, New Hampshire Classical All-State Band. Trey Grant, trumpet, New Hampshire Jazz All-State Jazz Band for the trumpet, New Hampshire Classical All-State High Score for trumpet, New Hampshire Classical All-State Orchestra, National Association for Music Education All-Eastern Jazz Band. Our next performer is not here tonight, but we are definitely going to mention them. Kelly Dustin on the trumpet, New Hampshire Classical All-State Band. Next up, Chase Rowe, percussion, New Hampshire Classical All-State High Score for timpani, New Hampshire Classical All-State High Score for snare drum, New Hampshire Classical All-State Band, National Association for Music Education All-Eastern Orchestra. Jenny Epstein, alto voice and alto saxophone, New Hampshire Classical All-State High Score for alto voice, New Hampshire Classical All-State Mixed Choir for alto voice, National Association for Music Education All-Eastern Band for alto saxophone. Sam Pittman, bass voice, New Hampshire Classical All-State Mixed Choir, National Association for Music Education All-Eastern Mixed Choir. Shaylin Sarsha, soprano voice, New Hampshire Classical All-State Treble Choir, National Association for Music Education All-Eastern Treble Choir. This next person is not here, but Ella Guzman, soprano voice, New Hampshire Classical All-State Mixed Choir. Tristan Plum, tenor voice, New Hampshire Classical All-State Mixed Choir. Carolina Chamberlain, alto voice, New Hampshire Classical All-State Treble Choir. Susan Ridgey, soprano voice, New Hampshire Classical All-State Treble Choir. Julia Hodgson, soprano voice, New Hampshire Classical All-State Treble Choir. Rachel Yasovich, soprano, New Hampshire Classical All-State Treble Choir. And our last student honoree, Abigail Parker, viola, New Hampshire Classical All-State Orchestra. And of course, we want to honor their educators, Ronald Beck and Bunny Serenita. And I just want to say, on a personal note, reading those names was super fun for me because not only are you all very accomplished, you are some of the best kids I know. So congratulations.
I obviously have to say something because, again, I've said it a million times. A huge reason why my family moved here was because of the music program in Merrimack. And all of the names you just heard are just a reason why the product that we put out for music is just so solid. So thank you again for representing us, putting in hours of work and putting in the time, and especially their educators for getting them through all this. All of the repertoire for next year's All-State is totally different, and they just released it. So you got to get to work like right now. All right. So thank you guys so much. Thank you very much. Right. And we do have one final recognition tonight. As as some of you may or may not know, if this is your first time attending a school board meeting in a while, we have had an outstanding student representative joining us for the last several years, and tonight is her final meeting with us. And so we wanted to make an extra recognition and especially recognize Caitlin Vadney for the incredible amount of work and insight and contribution she has done for the Merrimack School District and here on the school board. So.
For those of you students who are still in the room, whether you knew it or not, Caitlin was here advocating for you at every meeting on anything and everything that might have concerned students, and she did a fantastic job.
Thank you, Caitlin. Okay. And now we're ready to move on.
That means they all have to stay at the meeting, right?
All right. We are going to modify our agenda slightly because one of our speakers tonight does have an engagement that they need to get to. So we're going to move up Representative Tim Magoo's presentation on the Kristen McAuliffe State House Memorial right now.
Board. Let's see if we turn that on there for a second. Thank you very much for making that scheduling accommodation. I really appreciate that. Let's see if we can get this here. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Thank you, members of the board. I really appreciate that. I wish some of the students were here so I could tell them my own personal. They're all gone. Wow.
Yeah, they
Okay.
split pretty quick.
But I certainly remember Sal, the big guy LaRusso, my band director. Still keep in touch with him to this day because I was an alto and tenor sax player and band member, and he made a big impact for me too. So it's really great to recognize, and I applaud you for recognizing the student and teacher excellence. And I'm here to talk to you a little bit about recognizing one of New Hampshire's most famous teachers, Krista McAuliffe. I passed out the governor's executive order on the Krista McAuliffe State House Memorial Commission. So for the first time in, actually, I don't know exactly how many years, probably over 100 years, certainly for the State House, the front of the State House, and 20 or 30 years or more for any life-size bronze representation in the entire State House complex since the governor whined it. We will be commissioning a life-size bronze representation to honor, I guess, arguably our most famous teacher from New Hampshire, Krista McAuliffe. And so I'm very, very excited to bring this project here to Merrimack and invite and hopefully get a lot of student and teacher participation. I'm guessing everybody here in the room remembers watching the Challenger launch. I certainly do. And I'm honored to be the speaker's appointee on this commission. We meet every 2 weeks, and we've been doing that for about a month and a half now. Our next meeting is tomorrow, and I just want to tell you a little bit about it. So I threw together a couple of slides. These are my own slides. These are not authorized by anyone in particular, but I thought a couple of visual aids wouldn't hurt for this presentation. So this commission was created specifically to honor Krista McAuliffe and to find a place in the front of the State House, front facing. And if you've been up there before, I'm sure you all have, there are a lot of statues up there and not too many spots left to put in a place of honor for Krista McAuliffe. Our goal is to honor Krista's legacy as a selfless and courageous New Hampshire educator, because she was the first teacher astronaut, first and I believe perhaps the only teacher astronaut, and I'm not entirely sure of that. But she continues to inspire Granite students, I believe, and I'm sure it's taught in all of our curriculum. And she reached certainly new heights and never stopped exploring. And so I did a little bit of research on Krista McAuliffe and learned quite a few new things. One of which was she had the nickname, the field trip teacher, which I thought was pretty cool. She was born in Framingham, settled in Concord, taught history at the middle school in Concord and Bow, and then social studies, economics, and was very well known for a self-designed law course called The American Woman that she taught for grades 10 through 12. And she really believed in the experiential learning concept. And to me, at least, that seemed to be well ahead of its time. I think now it's widely done. But if you think back to when she was probably first doing that, that to me, not being in education as a career, that seemed well ahead of its time. You folks probably are more well-versed than that. You may correct me on that, but that seems very, very ahead of its time. So she was inspired by Alan Shepard when she knew of that space flight and really wanted to be an astronaut from a very, very young age. But of course, her parents, like many parents, said, well, why don't you do something simpler like being a teacher? So she did. But when the then President Ronald Reagan wanted to re-inspire the space program, because we probably all remember when shuttle launches became practically routine. They weren't even on the nightly news hardly. And there was an effort to reinvigorate interest in the space program. So the Teacher in Space program was born. And she applied very much at the last minute and had an idea that she would keep a journal in her training. You see one of her training pictures here in a jet. One of the earlier pictures was her weightless. So she kept a journal, and her idea was that she would teach lessons from space. And of course, tragically, she never had that opportunity. So our goal now is to make a life-size representational bronze. Most of the bronze statues you may have gathered already are larger than life. And of course, Krista in all of our minds is larger than life. And we hope to inspire generations of students to come to reach for their goals and do things that are larger than life. And so what would we like to do is we like to find a place in front of the State House. That place is yet to be selected. You can look at this diagram here, or not diagram, this aerial shot, and see there aren't a ton of places left to put it, but there is one here that the committee has walked the grounds and taken a look at. And interestingly enough, this is where a lot of students tend to have their picnic lunches. In consultation with the Visitor Center, Virginia Drew, they come out of the front of the State House and sit at the picnic table that's hidden by this red leaf tree. And one of the mandates in the commission is that it be engaging and accessible. And some of the things being discussed are, should it be at ground level? Should it be up high, down low? Should there be a QR code so that some of the essays that we hope to have submitted by interested students, that they could be forever linked? And anyways, we're discussing a lot of things. And that's why I'm here, because we'd like to get some input from students and teachers from across New Hampshire. And that's where I need your help, is getting, communicating that desire to our local students and teachers. We hope to finalize the RFP actually tomorrow. We'll put it on the website, which is easily found on nh.gov, or it's probably the easiest way, as opposed to this long website, is just Google it. Krista McAuliffe Memorial comes right up. That's how I found it for this link here. Anyhow, we'd like to have students contribute ideas and essays on how Krista McAuliffe or her history may inspire them to reach some of their goals. We'll invite students and teachers to the unveiling, which has a very, very ambitious date. We hope to get proposals by the end of this July and unveil the sculpture on her birthday, which is September 2nd of next year, which is still very ambitious for a project of this size. That happens to be Labor Day of next year, so it's a Monday. Students usually have off that day, so that's the plan. I'll provide further updates in terms of themes and topics and things, but the general theme is how has Krista inspired you to reach for your dreams, and that's it. This happens to be the only Krista McAuliffe bronze memorial that any of us could find in a bit of there are other, obviously we have a Discovery Center and there are some other, plaques and granite memorials and things like that. But in terms of a representational bronze, this is the only one that we could find in a museum garden in West Virginia, in case any of you were wondering. And of course, that's the crew of the entire Space Shuttle Challenger on its last flight. So happy to take questions or input, suggestions on how we can involve students. Welcome to ask them now or email me.
Questions or comments?
What do you think? Okay.
So this information that you gave us, it goes over the eligibility and the whole project. Is it possible to get a digital copy of this?
Yeah, of course. I'll be happy to email all of that. That's a preliminary draft of the RFP. I'll send you the finalized, but very little will change. Some minor things will change, but we'll finalize it tomorrow. I'll email that to you and with the proper link to it. And the other thing is just the executive order. That's just more of a formality than anything else.
Great. Yeah, I think if we have something like that, then we can send it out and people can get. And the website link is on there. The information. Great. I believe. Yes.
Great. Super. Thanks much, and thanks again for the scheduling.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it very much.
All right.
Before we leave recognitions, can I add one?
Yes.
I just wanted
Oh,
to
yes.
say that Merrimack TV broadcasts our board meetings every other week or whenever we have them. And, so many other things throughout our town, athletic events, our budget committee meetings, unprecedented access for our town so that every bit of the business of the town is done and the access is given to as much of the town as is willing to participate. And I just wanted to read this recognition for them. The Town of Merrimack's media division, Merrimack TV, has been notified by the Alliance for Community Media that our segment, Merrimack Moments, celebrating Patricia Cunningham, has been named 2022's best web-based program by a public access TV professional. This is the first time that Merrimack TV has won a national award from the Alliance for Community Media. Prior awards were acknowledged by Northeast chapter of the ACM. Media division staff will be accepting the award at the ACM's 2023 National Conference in New York on June 28th. The award displays Merrimack TV's commitment to community media, fostering community partnerships, and shining a spotlight on the people that make Merrimack a wonderful, wonderful place to live. And I think we are all so grateful for the work that they do on behalf of the board, being able to make sure that our meetings are accessible to the public. But we're grateful that they were honored, and they are an incredible team. If you've never had the opportunity to meet the guys from Merrimack TV, you can show up Town Hall anytime and just come meet them. They're really fantastic. They do great work, and we're so grateful that they were recognized.
All right. I think we can move on from recognitions to informational updates. I guess we'll pass superintendent update for now and move on to assistant superintendent update for curriculum.
Good evening,
Curriculum
everyone.
update.
On behalf of Bill, myself, and I'm sure Matt will jump in, we just also want to take an opportunity to thank Caitlin for her service to the board. It's been such a pleasure working with you, and you've always brought such a level of preparedness and professionalism to your position, and we'll just miss seeing your smiling face and hearing what are some things that we need to do for the students. So thank you for your advocacy and being part of this group.
You know, no matter what the comment or how harsh it could have been, she always delivered it with grace, kindness, and a little bit of humor. So I appreciate that.
It's
Thank
the
you very
smile,
much.
Caitlin.
It's the smile.
Keep saying those
You
things
can
and smiling.
tell anybody anything if you smile. So thank you very much for that. Appreciate it.
I wanted to remind families that next Friday is an early release. Students will be dismissed from school 2 hours early. We have a lot of things planned for teachers and staff, including a variety of building-based things and some student transition planning meetings, some curriculum work. We'll also have the DOE on site to do a training. So we have a lot happening in the district that day. Our second grade community, if parents, teachers, families, you should have received an email from me about the updated assessment tool. I had mentioned that in a previous update. We're moving forward with a test called the Cognitive Abilities Test, also called the COGAT. And so you'll get some information about when that will be given that last week in May. On May 26th, all of our second grade teachers will be trained on how to administer that assessment. But it is really quick. It's a nonverbal assessment, so a much more streamlined process than what we've used in the past. State assessments are happening. Those of you that work in schools, you know that the New Hampshire SAS is everywhere. So thank you to families and teachers for continuing to encourage students to do their best on those assessments. And finally, middle and high school families will be hearing notification this week about their students' participation in the New Hampshire Student Gallup poll. We talked about that at the last meeting, and moving forward with Principal Claire, Principal Carriger, they'll get some information about that survey will probably be administered later this month. So that's all I have for now.
Questions or comments? All right. Thank you. And moving on to Assistant Superintendent for Business update.
Thank you very much. In anticipation of finally kind of putting some of the details together and giving you another vision of the school district master plan, last week we had a drone fly over the entire campus. That was cleared by the Merrimack PD, and I think I sent out a school messenger also. Just so people wouldn't think it's something that it wasn't, especially in today's age. They've also done traffic counts, so they're going to be putting all that information together. And when it's ready and when they have a couple of different options, when they're drawn up, I think first step is to go in front of the planning and building committee and get their input. I'd like to sit down with the high school administration, get their input also. And then we plan to bring it to the board, and we plan to bring it to the town center committee, because they have seen the other plan that was done prior. And it's their input is exceedingly important also. We're going to try and capture as many folk as we can to see what is best for us and how much money we want to spend, how we want to phase in, how we want to do things. So it'll be, I'm looking forward to, it'll be a good discussion. Then I just wanted to mention, a while back I had mentioned we got a $120,000 grant for security. We have started that with one school so far, and we're going to be continuing that around the district in the next 6 weeks. They come in on the weekends, they do their work, and then they leave. That's the only time they can get here. So it is a security measure to slow down any kind of intrusion into our buildings. It's one piece of a multi-part plan that we have to make sure our buildings are secure. And our buildings are very secure with the electronic locks we have, with the 200 and some odd security cameras we have. But now we're looking at intrusion control and what we can do. So this is the first part of that. We're utilizing the grant funds, and then the rest of it's going to come from general fund monies that we have available at the end of the year to kind of give us some added security. So this is something we always work towards. We always look at, and we're always evaluating. And something, we always learn something new. We learned that I don't know, it was 6 months ago that the library at Thornton's Ferry didn't have any shades. It's like, what's the first thing you do if there's something going on? You want to pull the shades down, right? It didn't have any shades. So I didn't know that. And so we put shades in. So we're reacting to every little thing that comes up, and we're doing it in a fashion that tries to get it done as quickly as possible, because school security is paramount. I just want to say that one of our best assets, and I'll say it again, I've said it 1,000 times, is our staff. See something, recognize something that looks out of the ordinary, don't be bashful, call it in. It's happened several times. And most times it's an innocent contractor we have that didn't get badged in, walking around the property, everything like that, and they don't know who it is. And we are happy to take those calls and apologize to the contractor, but make sure next time you go to the main office and get yourself a badge, okay? Because you're not going to be welcome back here again if that's the way you're going to operate. So we just want to say thank you to our staff and administration for remaining vigilant in this quest. So thank you. That is my update.
Thanks, Matt. Questions or comments? All right. Moving on to school board update. I don't have much, but I did just want to make the public aware of some upcoming events, and I know I don't have them all because May is just an absolutely crazy month with events happening almost every single night. But I know this week there's a number of concerts going on. I know the high school's got one on Thursday, and then I know Master Cola, MES has one on Wednesday. Next week, the Showcase of Learning will be taking place at Thornton's Ferry School. And also, I got a beautiful invitation in the mail for the Reed's Ferry art show. Yeah, you guys got those too. They were so cool, which is happening next Thursday. So everybody should absolutely go check those out. I know that I will be there, hopefully at both. And that's all I got. So moving on to, unless there's other, sorry, I meant to ask. All good, cool. Student representative update.
Okay, I'm going to add to the May craziness of things that are going on. So in Senior World, next week on the 22nd, we have Senior Service Day, and that's a volunteer day that I think Mr. Knight puts together, and seniors go out in the community, and we help people with yard work or any house tasks that need to be done. And then the rain date for that is the 23rd. Next week, we also have a field day, which is the whole school, and that's Thursday afternoon before we leave. And then senior sign out is on June 2nd. The overflow day is June 5th. That's going to be taking place 7th period to 3:30 on the 2nd. So if seniors want to graduate, go to senior sign out. In addition to that, if you haven't gotten your green card in for senior week, do that as soon as possible, or else you will not be participating in senior week because they need the green cards. And then graduation's on the 10th. And that's the last thing. Also, movie update, we picked Grown Ups. That was the winning movie. In addition, I first off just want to say thank you for my time and allowing me to have this position. I've enjoyed it a lot. I've just learned a lot about human relations and communication with people. And on that, I want to welcome Sean. This is Sean, everybody. He's going to come up and introduce himself.
Good evening, everyone, and it's very nice to meet you all. My name is Sean Evidente, as you've heard from Caitlin, and I gotta say, I appreciate the time commitment you guys put into like everything in here, and the amount of work Caitlin has put in. I gotta say, that's pretty impressive. Like, you guys can agree with me on that one.
Absolutely.
Very impressive. I'm, of course, willing to put that much effort while I'm here, and I'm hoping that I can live up to the expectations. Very nice to meet you all.
You have some very high expectations to fulfill.
Yeah.
So you better be on your game,
yeah.
young man. We'll be looking at you.
Sean's great. He does great work, I promise.
Of course he does. I'm just fooling around, making him feel comfortable.
Thank you.
You hear wonderful things, and we can't wait to have you.
I'm very excited. And
Yeah.
That's it. Congrats.
And then I have one final part of my update, which is very sad to say, but with the class of 2023, Mr. Hall and Ms. Dumay are graduating from student council. And it makes me very sad to say that because they were my advisors the whole time. But I'm excited to see what student council is going to move forward and accomplish next year. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Caitlin. Questions or comment? Seeing none, we will move on to old business and the bring your own device update.
Yeah, Jason Pelletier was going to be here this evening, but he had another thing that he had to go to, so he couldn't make it. So we're just here to hear your information. I know you were talking last time about kind of a layered transitioned approach as opposed to just drawing a line in the sand and say everybody uses Chromebooks all the way up to senior year. We did have a discussion with Jason on that subject last Tuesday, and he was amenable to doing such if that's the way you want it to go. So we're here to just hear your thoughts, what you think you'd like to do, and then we'll report back to Jason because, like I said, he couldn't be here this evening, and we'll just see. I'm sure we can do whatever you want to do.
I think, after we had that discussion, I think next year seniors, next year juniors should have an opt-out. Sophomores and freshmen, they should be fully integrated into the one-to-one devices now. And so with that integration with those lower classmen, I don't see a problem moving forward from here out. And if they need another device for something like, my kids had a Chromebook, but they had a MacBook for all their other stuff, they can do that. But for the classroom, I think moving forward is a good way to go.
The only exception that we talked about is that juniors have to take the New Hampshire SAS and the SATs on a district device. So those students, even if they opt out, we will need to make sure that they log in to a Chromebook on those days. And I know that Principal Claire and Jess Scott in the library and Jason worked, to make sure that everybody had a device. So even if they're opting out, we would just want to make sure that those families know, juniors, you have to take it on a Chromebook just because it's the state rule. So, but Jason was very amenable to that. And I think we're just looking at the rollout and the messaging because current 8th graders rising to freshmen, we don't think that would be an issue. Same thing with sophomores. But juniors and seniors, we'll put something together.
And for this year, we're going to go as we've been going, but this will be for the 23-24 year. It'd be like juniors and seniors, you can BYOD if you don't, but with the state testing, you've got to grab a Chromebook, which is, we have to do that, right? And so then we'll do that for 23-24, see how that goes, and then we'll discuss 24-25 at another time.
I
And if
really
we just-
appreciate that flexibility. And I will say, I really think it applies more even to seniors than to juniors, just as a parent of one of each of those next year. I think most of the juniors got on board because that hit sort of during sort of ended up in there during that COVID years, and most of them just took it, right? And why does my senior have a device? Well, because there was no option for them to have a device. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think that, but I love the idea that we're going to give an opt out for them as we sort of roll forward, and obviously with the caveats that are necessary. So thank you for your flexibility on that.
Yeah. Okay.
And I ever since we had the chat with Jason last time, I've gone back and forth kind of, I don't even know how many times, because we had a very impassioned public comment at the end, and about their feelings about the one-to-one Chromebook situation. And then I've actually gone back and talked to some of the students at my school about it, and I've talked to our tech director about it. And like I said, I keep riding down the middle here. On one hand, I see why infrastructurally it makes total sense to have everybody on the same device and why that works so well and how easy that can be. On the other hand, nobody likes Chromebooks. So it's like one of these things where, is it good for the folks running all the wires and plugging things in, or is it good for the students? And I keep going back and forth on that. And I don't know as if I even know the right answer, but it's something that I've really debated with myself about and tried to ask a lot of folks about, what. And again, this is coming from someone who like barely knows how a modem works, so I don't have a lot of knowledge in terms of how that works. But is it one of these things where, are we making this change because it works for our tech department, or are we making this change because it's what works for the kids?
Can I answer that from a teacher perspective?
Yes, please do.
So we have BYOD at our school. The Chromebooks are primarily for middle school, upper elementary. As a teacher, like all of my classes this week have their semester projects due. That is a gazillion computers that I have to help them figure out how to connect to the projector or the smart TV. And if it's a Surface or a PC or a HP or a Mac or some other device, they don't know how to do it. And I have to know how to do it. Mm-hmm. And I know teachers in my building who don't know how to do it. And then they're left going, well, you can email it to me or share it to me or drop it to me and you can present from my computer and that kind of thing. In the middle school, they don't have that problem because they're all Chromebooks. They can all log right into the secured projector or smart TVs for their projects and things like that. So for the kids, I get it. I want to use my Mac. I'm a Mac user. I understand that. But if we look at the big picture for like all the students' security, the infrastructure, and being able to run the classrooms efficiently, I wish there was a better option than Chromebook. I'm with you on that. But having everybody on the same device makes a huge difference.
Yeah, and thank you. And I do, like, security is a big one that kept coming up too, is just having more control over that security and the more different types of operating systems you have. And again, this, I don't know, but it just seems like it's opening yourself up. We don't want like a Nashua situation or something like that. So again, it's, yeah, I come from a Chromebook school. We're 1-to-1 and I totally see the benefits behind it. But then I also see all of my students complaining about Chromebooks. So ultimately, I do think this is a step in the right direction. I just hope somewhere down the line we're just able, and technology is changing every day, but somewhere down the line we're able to have a system where kids are able to use the devices they want to use in a way that we can all make that work. But I don't know if we're even anywhere close to that right now.
Yeah, and our firewalls and our intrusion detections and everything like that, they're really pretty robust. When Jason got here, that was one of the first things that he did. And we spent some money on it and we got it right. So you never say never, but I don't foresee us becoming a Nashua because we have much more of a robust defense mechanism. And as far as the laptops go, as opposed to Chromebooks, I'm just thinking, if I'm a senior, I want to use the client version of Excel. I want to pivot table myself to death. I want to do all the formulas that I need to do. I want to learn that thing, like I want to make it walk and talk and wiggle like a snake. So when I get in college, I can do all this data analysis and Chromebooks. And I've talked to Jason about this. No secret. He probably won't. Maybe he won't watch this episode tonight. But the thing is, it's like, I want kids to walk out of here being proficient with the client-based software that they're going to be using for the rest of their lives. And I don't see, even though there are versions of that on a Chromebook, it's a web-based version. It does not have all the functionality and little hidden Easter eggs all over the place that makes your life really easy. So that's why I like this phased-in approach.
I just want to say one last thing. I do love the phased-in approach, but the one thing I love about one-to-one devices is there's an equity piece there too, right? You don't have the kids walking in with their
Right.
MacBooks, 10 kids in a class with their MacBook and send 3 with a Chromebook. I mean, I'm making up numbers, but everybody has the same device, and it's not, wow, look at you with your awesome MacBook. Well, I have a Chromebook because we can't afford more than a Chromebook or whatever. There's an equity piece there that I really, really love, and I'm glad we're moving that direction. I agree with all the things you said about functionality and stress on teachers and all of that. But even as a parent, I really do like the equity issue, although probably one of my children would tell you there's an equity issue within my own household, but that's neither here nor there.
I do want to add that we do have labs at the high school that will continue to make sure that kids have access to, when they're doing 3D modeling and things like that. So Jason, I know he mentioned that we would continue to offer that even if we are straight Chromebooks.
Any other question or comments?
So being that this is a policy that we're making, I believe we need to vote
Yeah.
on it. So, but my hesitation is I think we need to see the full policy in writing from Jason with the addendum of the rollout phase.
Yeah, right now it's kind of like an administrative procedure, but if you want to elevate it to the status of a policy, that will only help us to enforce that. So we can put something together.
We'll put it together for the next meeting.
Yeah.
And I think there were some other things coming your way as well,
Yes.
technology-wise, some longer policies that I see on Sandy's desk.
There's
Naomi,
around
I don't
7
know.
of them queued
No,
up.
some of them are
sent it to me yet.
Okay,
So.
well, it's a pretty long one, so we'll send it along when it's ready.
Good.
All right. I think we're good. Moving on. Next up on old business is demolition update for Brentwood and Student Services buildings.
Would the chairman do me the courtesy to make an opening statement on this, or do you want to make an opening statement on it?
Oh, you by all means.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to overstep my bounds.
No.
I haven't received my employment contract for next year, so.
Well, it depends on how well this goes.
I know. Believe me, I'm well aware. One step away from anyway. In talking with the superintendent, Bill and I, we've gone back and forth over this 100 times. We know that Brentwood needs to go. That's a given. The wild card is the special services building. Now, we kind of see central office as everybody who's in there, myself, Amy, HR, accounts payable, payroll, everything like that, plus special services, their function, because in regular SAUs that aren't in a little ranch house that are 1,500 square feet, that utilize the basement that has 12 people in there. Let's not talk about it. With no fire exit for them whatsoever. So anyway, that's not good. I just figured I'd throw that in there. Plus the color of it, no one likes anymore, So anyway, having that and having those two functions together, I think is really important, and together in physical proximity to one another. Now you add in the added complication that comes with having a complete office switchover. Special ed director is retiring. The administrative assistants, both of them, one who does transportation, bus routes, everything like that. The other one who does all the Medicaid reimbursements, everything like that. they're leaving. One is taking another job in Concord and the other one is retiring. And so we have like a brand new central office. And to take them and to put them where we were thinking in the upper elementary school is going to remove them from our direct line of communication. Where if somebody's having trouble with the $1.3 million IDEA grant and they want to come over and they want to talk to Amy or they want to talk to me, or they don't know what account number, or they need to read their budget and we need that face-to-face time, it behooves us to leave them there. Hence, it behooves us to put the brakes on that building. And then once we finally get to the point where we're going to be building a central office, or a central office will somehow present itself to us, depending upon who you talk to, right? That we would take those two buildings down at the same time. So that's kind of my thought, but the crux of the whole thing is to get rid of Brentwood and leave special ed as it is for the time being, knowing that that's the next domino to fall. Do you have anything to add? You were part of the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it. It just seems like proximity wise, that we would still be able to help the onboarding of that new team. And we do, Heather comes over a fair amount right now to, just talk things through, figure out account numbers, just as Matt has outlined. And it just feels tough for them to be farther away. And it was going to be a nice location at JMU's. I think they would have had their space needs met there. That wasn't really the issue. It's more about, how do we function as a system leadership, without, it's already hard enough because Jason's in the high school, Fern is somewhere else. It gets complicated already. So to just add another layer, it seemed if we could avoid it for now, taking down those two buildings whenever that happens.
Yeah.
Maybe it won't ever happen, but it would at least give
It'll
us
happen eventually.
some support to the new person coming on board.
And we were thinking also, because we were looking at, we have the district registrar in the budget, the new position, which will kind of streamline and make all our onboarding of kids just consistent throughout the district. We were thinking that that could be a good office for them, which is close to us, which is close to our power school manager who's in the high school, which works out much better. So on a couple of instances, I just think logistically, buildings and architecture, they have a function and whatnot is to keep the right groups of people together, so the access, so you don't miss those moments when you're walking in the hallway and Amy says to me, "Hey Matt, could you come here for a second? I just got this quick question." And the quick question, with Amy turns into 2 hours and I'm still standing there and I'm like, can I go back and get my coffee, please? No, I can't. See, she's like that. So that's the thought behind what we're saying right now, just for your consideration.
Questions or comments?
I think it makes good sense right now. And yes, we want to get rid of both of them. We want to get rid of all three of them, to be honest. But I don't want to displace brand new people far away from central office.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense to keep them as close to you guys as we can.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on. Next on old business is the revisit of committee assignments. And it's a good thing we revisited them because there were some things we weren't doing correctly. And it was a nice chance to sit and kind of go over the history of some of these committees, which ones have been active, which ones are inactive. Amy sent a great document that has sort of the detail and history behind many of them. So we did add 2 additional committees, the Athletic Advisory Committee, which we'll discuss in a minute, and then the Joint Loss Management Committee, which will be mostly head up by our HR director. And that was one that we are apparently legally obligated to have, and we did not. So now we're in compliance, which is nice. So going down the list here for 2023-2024, school board chair is Ken Martin. Vice chair is Lori Rothaus. Budget committee, Naomi Halter, with the alternate of Jenna Hardy. Curriculum Instruction Technology Committee is Jenna Hardy and Ken Martin. School Bus Stop Committee, Naomi Halter. Professional Development Committee is Lori Peters and alternate is Ken Martin. Planning and Building Committee is Lori Rothaus. Wellness Policy Implementation Committee is Lori Peters. Healthcare Cost Containment Committee is Ken Martin. We'll discuss district parent group in a moment. Communications Committee is Jenna Hardy and Ken Martin. Policy Committee is Naomi Halter and Lori Peters. Moving down, Athletic Advisory Committee is Jenna Hardy and Lori Rothaus. Joint Loss Management Committee is Melissa Falsick and Lori Peters. Merrimack Teachers Association is currently inactive because we negotiated that last year. Merrimack Education Support Staff Association is Lori Rothaus and Lori Peters. Advise and Confer number 1, Jenna Hardy. Advise and Confer number 2, Naomi Halter. And then the out of district committee assignments, Greater Woods Subcommittee is Matt Chevenel. The Town Center Committee is Matt Chevenel. Parks and Rec would be Naomi Halter, and alternate is Lori Rothaus. So open it up for questions.
So the Professional Development Committee, I will never be able to go. As I said in our last meeting, their meetings run at the same time as our all hands meeting on Thursdays.
Okay.
So we can switch spots,
I was
or
gonna
we
say, you
just
wanna
leave
just
it.
flip
But
'em?
yeah, we can
Let's
flip
just
them.
flip them. So I'll go in as the lead there and then put you in as the alternate. When did those meetings say happen again?
They happen at
Thursday, 3.
first and third, and we meet sometimes through Zoom. I can just make sure that you're part of that.
Awesome. Thank you. Additional questions or comments?
So Jenna brought up the last time the district parent group,
Yes.
and I know it's not active, but I think that would be a great thing to get active again.
Yeah, and we were talking about it earlier this week, and I agree with you. I guess the history behind it, as you can see on the document that we got, was it was 2 representatives from each building, parents, representatives from each building, that would come together with 2 school board members, superintendent, and just discussing parent concerns and issues, which I think is a great idea. It last met in 2018. There's some talk of like maybe COVID kind of shut it all down for a little bit. And then there was also some talk of, just due to the ease and accessibility of online forums, whether or not the need to actually come together was there. And it sounds like it was sort of difficult to get everybody there for those meetings because, again, we have busy parents and busy lives. So I'm in agreement. I don't think it's a bad idea. But yeah, what do we want to do with it?
Well, maybe we should ask the parent groups reps what they would be interested in.
I was just going to say, I wonder if we should retool how it worked, right? Like we could use our existing, PTO. They're all called something different in every single building, but we could use them. However, they're all neck deep in stuff. Maybe what we do is we create a whole different district parent group with parental representatives from all the various schools to talk about some of the things that may come up, maybe some of the things that are coming up on school board agendas where we can get feedback. I'm literally making this up. I'm saying the things that are in my brain, and I haven't hashed out any wonderful plan, but as we're looking to partner with our community and our parents in meaningful ways and have their voices heard in what happens in our district, it seems like it'd be a meaningful thing to bring back in some format, even if we haven't quite hashed out how.
This is kind of more general than about that specific committee, although I agree that it should come back in some form. One of the things I wrote a whole bunch of things on this sheet, and I was actually going to put it off to bring it up during our goals meeting, where I was going to propose that one of our goals be something to do with evaluating our committees and our committee work. And because my questions are these committees useful? What will best support Bill, Amy, and Matt in their work? And then I wrote, is a larger conversation around committees more appropriate for our goals meeting? And how do they talk about, how do they function as part of our whole system again? And yeah, so that was one of the things. Was I have like 3 or 4 committees on here that I was like, oh, I wonder, and then I was like, yeah, maybe we should like talk about it more holistically and really see what's serving us and what we might want to tweak.
Yeah, I think the idea of having that chat at the goal setting meeting makes a lot of sense.
Because I'll go back, because Ken and I also, when I called him this week to talk about one thing in regards to this, I had talked about the communications committee, which also was last active in 2018 and had a purpose of addressing communication protocols for the district, which quite frankly, the protocols doesn't get me all excited. But what would get me all excited is finding a cohesive, meaningful social media plan where some of these recognitions that we talk about on the school board, I'm sure everyone in our town watches these meetings because they are so enlightening. However, on the off chance that they don't get the chance to do that, maybe these recognitions, we could take a picture here, or a picture could be submitted. I mean, with kids at the high school, stuff going on all the time, but at the elementary schools, that so much is going on. People could submit pictures. We could have a communication plan around social media so that our community can see all of the amazing things that our school district does. So again, kind of like you are saying, like we're saying the district parent committee, I think the communications committee has a place too, and we just need to update it to live in 2023. So I think there's a lot of value in having ongoing conversation around modernizing this.
Great minds, Jenna, because I've been thinking the same thing about communication.
Not that I don't love the website, whoever runs it, they do a great job. I just think there's so much going on, and I want to see people's smiling faces. I want to see the work that students are doing. I want people to be able to go on social media and see the reality of what is happening in our school district, because we have really awesome things going on.
So is this something we vote on, or?
We need to settle the issue of a delegate to the NHSBA.
Okay. So I wasn't sure if that was something I appointed or not, which I'm happy to do it.
It isn't it's
Okay.
the same way you did everything else.
Sign me up.
And alternate.
Who wants to be the alternate?
I'll be the alternate.
All right. All right.
And no, we don't need to vote on it.
Okay. Then definitely putting it on the agenda for our goals meeting is an analysis of the committees, and especially reassessing where we need things to be reassessed. Great. Any other further discussion? All right, moving on to new business and every educator's favorite acronym, the review of Merrimack High School NEASC report. What's that?
I feel your pain. Our foundation visits tomorrow.
That was 4 years ago for us. So just to click through slides, what do I use? Got it. Thank you. So as you know, the NEASC report is quite extensive. So I put together just a slideshow with some narratives that I'm going to go through with each slide. So you just have a brief introduction on the process and where we're at. First of all, happy Mother's Day to all your mothers from yesterday. And one more activity event that's happening that wasn't mentioned is on Wednesday from 5:30 to 7:30 at the high school. We have 8th grade welcome night, where students and parents can come in and talk to club advisors, athletics. They can also get a tour of the school from our guidance counselors. So that's this Wednesday. And I believe I won't be there. I have a baseball game, but Jill Hamlin, our assistant principal, will be there with everybody. So that is happening this Wednesday. And I am having a hard time getting in here. There we go. All right, so that. So I'm just kind of walk you through the process. We'll start with the NEAS foundational elements, and there are 6. Learning culture is broken up into 2 parts: student learning, professional practice, learning support, and learning resources. Foundational elements are identified by NEAS as essential structures, policies, and systems, so a safe, effective, and sustainable learning and community can exist. Back in 2019, we had, before me, we had the NEAS process began with the collaborative conference school rating, basically how Merrimack High School rated itself in those 6 foundational areas. The high school rated itself, 3 were met and 3 were not met. Then the NEAS representation came in and visited the school and did their own rating, and they were in agreement with the school on 5 out of the 6 elements. They identified the area of learning resources as an additional foundational element that was not met. The foundational elements that were rated as does not meet in 2019, but later was met in 2022 were as follows: developing a vision of a graduate, developing a school improvement growth plan, and the community and district provide school buildings and facilities that support the delivery of high quality curriculum programs and services. So those 3 things were identified as not being met in 2019, but were identified in 2022 as being met. The one foundational element that was not met in 2019, and we're still working on in 2022, and currently still working on, is having a written curriculum in a consistent format for all courses in all departments across the school. As I mentioned in the last slide, we made significant progress toward meeting standards between 2019 and 2022. The first step of this work was for the principal at that time to work directly with a self-reflections committee using feedback from staff from early in the NEAS process. From this work, 5 priority areas were identified as areas to improve on in the preparation for our NEAS decennial visit, which was to take place in the spring of 2022. These five priority areas were used to inform our growth plan, which was ever evolving and changing throughout the NEAS process. We needed to do the following: develop a written document describing our core values and beliefs about learning and our vision of a graduate, and develop a second document detailing our school growth plan. Other priorities: we needed to develop a written curriculum in a consistent format for all courses in all departments that included all units, essential questions, concept, etc. Our school needed to take a close look at our social and emotional well-being of our students and demonstrate how they connected to the school community in some way. And finally, we needed to ensure technology was used in all areas to support and enhance learning, as well as to provide an avenue for our students to demonstrate their learning. This is where I joined the team, fall of 2020. The NEAS steering committee took the priority areas and used them to develop a school growth plan with 3 guiding goals driving the plan. These goals consisted of a developed statement of need and an objective to meet the statement of need. Goal number 1, we needed clear and common language related to our school-wide learning goals of critical thinking, creativity, citizenship, communication, SEL, executive skills, and financial literacy. A rubrics committee had met throughout the summer and fall of 2022 and developed our vision of learner action statements, which have been molded into the district vision of a learner. And I'll talk about that in a slide a little bit later. Let's see, slide 6. Goal number 2, students needed more opportunities to become engaged in their learning and demonstrate their knowledge. With that, a committee of approximately 15 educators formed a Universal Design for Learning, UDL committee, which has been in place since the initial collaborative conference rating in 2019, and this work is ongoing. The committee members attended UDL trainings, implemented UDL practices in the classroom, and assessed and critiqued each other. This committee is currently in the process of creating a large resource document filled with UDL lessons, tools, assessments, etc., based on the UDL model. Our final goal focused on the need to advance school safety procedures as part of the district-wide school safety plan. This goal is ongoing. We have rewritten our emergency procedures flip chart at the district level. At the high school level, we have added emergency go kits to each classroom. Staff and students have been introduced and practiced up-to-date option-based lockdown response drills. All this work has been done in consultation with the Merrimack Police Department and, on occasion, the New Hampshire Department of Homeland Security. So in May of 2022, a group of 7 educators from New England states visited us for 3 days in May. Upon completion of the visit, they gave us a brief summary of their findings. They sent their findings to the NEASC Commission, and we were to receive a report in approximately 4 to 6 months. However, it took close to 9 months. As you can see from this slide, in the time between the collaborative ratings back in 2019 and the decennial visit in 2022, we went from meeting 2 out of the 6 foundational elements to 5 out of the 6. We have ongoing work continuing in the areas we have met, and still lots to do in the area we did not meet, which was 2.2a student learning that states there is a written curriculum in a consistent format in all courses in all departments, and we're working directly with Amy Doyle on this goal. They gave us some recommendations. Recommendations in the report were focused on educating new staff members on school and district initiatives, providing PD on research-based best practices. Other recommendations were providing PD around technology integration and providing authentic learning and assessment experience that challenge our students. We were commended in a number of areas: our positive and respectful culture, our vision of our graduate, and the connection between the vision and our developed growth plan. Further, we were commended on the district purchase of EduPlanet 21 curriculum software that we are using to meet the foundational element that we did not meet at the decennial visit, foundation element 2.2a. NEAS also commented that our academic intervention strategies such as Skills Center, Success in School, and Learning Center were strengths. We were also commended for our commitment to enacting our vision of the graduate, which we did by creating action statements that we will work on implementing at the beginning of the next school year. These 5 pillars on this slide, curious, connected, prepared, resilient, and dedicated, were developed at the district level. We then took our vision of a graduate that was developed for NEASC and aligned them to meet the goals of the district. We hope to use some of our PD time at the end of the year for departments to take a close look at these with driving questions like, what is it like to be a curious, connected, prepared, resilient, and dedicated learner in math class, for example? Basically, what needs to be done to take these 10 action statements and apply them as in all areas of our school. We got a lot of work to be done here for that. Additional commendations include our staff's commitment to incorporated technology, the culture of collaboration within the school, and the variety of mental health supports available to students. So we're in year 4. So what's next? We will continue to reflect on and revise and implement our growth plan. I have my first progress report due in February of 2024, where I need to give a written update to the NEAS Commission. In the fall of 2025, we will provide a 3-year progress report. And that's it. That's kind of where we're at right now.
All right, open it up to questions and comments. And I'll start again, having gone through this process twice.
Yeah.
It just really nice job. It hours upon hours upon hours of work, putting all of this stuff together, going through the visitations, following up with the recommendations and commendations. And it's really nice to see the change from the last visit to the most recent visit. It's really nice to see all that stuff improving and all those boxes being checked. And it's just just another testament to the hard work of the staff over
Yep.
there at MHS.
We had a group of 5 or 6 educators that have been on the steering committee since day one, and they're still on the steering committee working through it with me. So
That's impressive.
yeah. So they've worked hard and they seem passionate about it.
Good. Well, it just means they care.
Yep.
You know? It's hard to look in a mirror sometimes and have somebody tell you this needs to be fixed. So it's nice to see that they want to fix it.
I just wanted to just the commendations were awesome. I was glad to see that the aligning the curriculum into standardized format for everything. That could change next year, but the EduPlanet, so that everybody's on board, is beneficial no matter what. So I just don't want anyone to think that because we don't meet that standard that somehow we aren't doing well, because our curriculum does meet what we need to do for our students. This is a matter of the teacher side of things in how we communicate with each other in different departments and everything, how that curriculum is aligned. There was one thing that I did catch that I just wanted to reemphasize. This was on page 22 of the report. Complete the creation of rubrics and develop processes to provide feedback to learners and their families on each learner's progress in achieving the school's vision of the graduate. I think as we move towards competency-based learning and assessment, we've got to have those rubrics so that it doesn't appear subjective. There's a lot of misunderstanding right now around competency-based assessment and education. And I think having those rubrics is going to be key to showing that we are still making measurable progress for our students with our competencies. And so I'm glad that they wrote that down there, because that gives us a reminder to make sure that we're doing that. And so I was glad to see that in there. I know a lot of our teachers do that already, and they do a great job doing that, but it's just a good reminder to keep it up.
I'm glad you said that, Lori. We have Brian Stack coming to start working with us, I believe, at the end of the school year. And one of the first steps that we'll do is share some of this NAS report with him around that competency piece. So,
and then I had one more that you didn't mention, but it's about you. And it was really along the lines of how they were concerned that some of the district overriding goals were kind of shadowing the high school's vision of a graduate with our vision of a learner. And they wrote that you have a vision to align that. And you showed that in our slide, but I just want to commend you for that even though the district's been doing the vision of a learner and our strategic planning process, you made sure that the high school vision of a graduate was aligned within all of that so that it didn't get dwarfed by district goals and policies.
I have to be honest, when we first started the district vision, I panicked. And Amy talked me off the ledge when she first got here, and the transition went very well. So
thank you.
Yeah, and they're probably our resident experts on all of this. But I just want to say well done. I mean, just very objectively looking at where we didn't meet and now we do meet. And hearing your explanation of the one that we still don't meet, and that helps me understand that even more. It just reaffirms that we are moving in the right direction, and that everyone's hard work across the district, but within the high school especially, is paying off, and we're grateful. So thank you.
thank you.
I just want to add the high school team working on this is just such an impressive group. When you go to the BLT at the high school, they are a very organized, focused group, and it's just really impressive to be in the group that's doing some of this work. Angela, Jess, Allison, Trevor, Adam. I mean, they are just such an impressive group of people that as a building principal, I'm sure Steve he couldn't do half of this without that group.
Yeah, they're a great resource for me, and
They're
great
very
educators
impressive.
and great people.
Additional questions or comments? Great. Thank you so much, Steve.
All right, thank you. Have a wonderful night.
You too.
You too.
Can I say one of my comments now from the end of the board before Steve leaves the room? I just want to say, my comment at the very bottom, was just going to say, great job with the prom. It was handled really well. Everything went smoothly. The kids, there was no drama To use a kid, what my kid said, no drama. And it was an enjoyable time had by all. It was safe. It was well done, and the kids had a blast. So thank you, and please pass that thank you on to any and everyone involved in all that. I know it was students, that helped plan it as well. So really well done.
It was a wonderful prom.
Yeah.
Some of the music was questionable. But we made it through.
To be expected.
Thank you all.
Thank.
Okay. Moving down to policies and the third review of video surveillance on school property, EEAA.
I
think
was
we
just
vote.
about to say, I move that we accept the audio and video surveillance on school property policy.
Give a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Passes 4-0-0. And now we have the second review of home education instruction policy, IHBG. Questions or comments?
It's the same as it was last week, and as far as I know, we haven't received any. It's been on the website, and we haven't received any comments from the public regarding it. So,
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong, Amy, or Bill might know.
We have had some home education families reach out to us for the evaluation portion. So we have some portfolios scheduled and looking at other ways that we can be helpful and supportive to our local home education families.
And so this moves on for our next meeting, right? For public review. Great. All right. Moving on to approval of minutes for the May 1st, 2023 public and non-public minutes.
I make a motion that we accept the May 1st, 2023 public and non-public minutes.
We have a second. Second by Lori. All those in favor? Aye, passes 4-0-0. And then the approval of the May 4th, 2023 non-public minutes.
Well, I'll go ahead and make a motion that we accept those as the May 4th, 2023 non-public minutes as well.
Second by Naomi. All those in favor? Passes 4-0-0. All right. Moving on to acceptance of gifts and grants under $5,000. State Farm Insurance to Merrimack High School.
Yes.
Matt?
Yeah, thank you very much. It's with pleasure that we announce that the Merrimack High School SAD Club, Students Against Destructive Decisions, right, received $500 from Dan Bantham, State Farm Insurance, right on 289 Daniel Webster Highway, right here in Merrimack. It's for the purpose of activities of SAD to be used only for SAD. So we thank Dan Bantham Insurance, State Farm Insurance. I could do a little commercial snippet for State Farm, but I won't do that. But 289 Daniel Webster Highway to the Merrimack SAD Club. Thank you.
I make a motion that we accept this gift.
I will second it because my daughter is the vice president of SAD.
Okay.
All those in favor? Aye. Passes 4-0-0. Thank you so much. For
And
that.
thank you fixing that from grifts to gifts.
There you go.
I went back right afterwards and on my computer, because I created this form 15 years ago, and it says gifts. So I don't know how the R got in there somehow.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so confusing. So thank you for that.
All right. Moving on to the consent agenda, educator resignations.
There are some resignations in your packet tonight for you to consider and accept. Emily Hillman, music teacher, Reeds Ferry School. Catherine Russo, classroom teacher, Reeds Ferry School. Molly Davis, classroom teacher, Mastercola Elementary School. Lindsay McElhenney, special education coordinator, Merrimack Middle School. Bernice Serenita, music band teacher, Merrimack High School. Amy Fine, special education coordinator, Thornton's Ferry School, and Colleen Landry, classroom teacher at James Mastercola Upper Elementary School.
We have a motion to accept.
With some sadness, I will make a motion that we accept those resignations.
Second.
under protest.
Yes.
Yes. All those in favor? Aye. Passes 4-0-0. A lot
We-
of great teachers on that list.
We also have some nominations. Some of these positions are replacing those folks that have submitted their resignation, and others will come forward at a future meeting. First, starting with Julie Hinsa, special education teacher, Merrimack Middle School. Haley Smith, music teacher, Reeds Ferry Elementary School. Andrea, you got it. Thank you. Elementary, Reeds Ferry School. Adam Perkins, elementary teacher, James Mastercola Upper Elementary School. Lydia Matheson, elementary teacher, Thorntons Ferry Elementary School. Olivia Blanchett, elementary teacher, James Mastercola Upper Elementary School. And Dorothy Maloney, elementary teacher, James Mastercola Upper Elementary School.
I would like to make a motion that we accept these teacher nominations.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Passes 4-0-0.
I have two final things to just notify you about, that the new positions for Harley Hall, our new director of ELOs and Pathways to Graduation, and our new school counseling director, Catherine Colbert, they will start in their positions as of July 1, 2023. And I also need to let you know that Mike Susi, the athletic director at Merrimack High School, has submitted his notification of resignation, effective June 30th, 2023.
All right. Moving on to other, starting with committee reports. Do we have any? Neither do I. Correspondence. Actually, let me just double check. Go ahead, Jenna.
Well, I received some correspondence from a constituent who was asking about making public comment tonight. And I just explained the procedure and how that worked and what you can and cannot say and that kind of thing. And then I think that was it.
I received some correspondence related to athletics, and I passed that along to Bill.
Yep. And I also received some correspondence related to athletics and then correspondence related about staff, and I passed those on to Bill. Any other correspondence? Good. And then other, or no, not other, comments. Excuse me. Comments from the board.
I just want to reach out and just say I saw a lot in the public and at the schools for Teacher Appreciation Week. We certainly appreciated our teachers' hard work, and this is the craziest time of the year with everyone wrapping up their curriculum and their events, choir and band and art and all these wonderful things. So keep your appreciation for those teachers going all the way to the end.
All right. Seeing no other additional comment, we move on to public comments on agenda items only. If you wish to speak on agenda items for tonight, you're welcome to come up to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. And if you're a student, no need to state your address, just your name.
Good evening. My name is Acadia Mahoney, and I'm from Rochester.
I think we need to stop you right there. Unfortunately, our rules, our orientation to meetings says that citizens are the only people allowed to address the board at the end of board meetings. It's
so 'cause
written
I
right
don't
on our
live here,
agenda.
I can't speak.
That is correct.
You are, however, welcome to email the board and the superintendent with any concerns or comments that you have and any supporting documentation that you have. If you would like, we invite you to do so.
Okay, thank you.
Just briefly, I'll try and keep it less in passion this time, but I do want to thank the board for their time and consideration of Jason's new policy, and I especially like the fact that incoming juniors and seniors, that idea that they would have the option to continually bring their own device. And I just wanted to touch real quickly on what Matt said, specifically pertaining to Excel. I've seen many teachers who have assignments that you're required to do in Excel, and we can't do them on Chromebooks, right? You aren't able to create those graphs, and this is largely due to the fact that teachers are using Windows devices when they're creating this curriculum, right? They all have a Windows computer that they're using, and so when it goes to transfer to the Chromebook, it's a little bit more difficult. And then just to end out, I want to say I could not be happier that Sean is going to be the school board student representative. He's an amazing person. I think you'll grow to find that. you guys really lucked out with that, and I am super thrilled to see what he's able to bring to the board. So thank you. Oh, Finn had it. I'm not sure I said.
Thank you. All right. With that, do I have a motion to adjourn for the evening?
Second.
Second. All those in favor. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.